Thank you for joining us on another edition of our ClubCast. Today we're going to talk about some of the things that Boys and Girls Clubs has coming up. We're going to talk about some of the wonderful things that has gone on, and really we're going to focus a lot on the community. I want to start off with our summer camps. As you know, summer is going to be so much different than we've seen in the past. I mean, obviously we're on our ClubCast and Melanie is getting ready for summer as she puts on her glasses in a place that doesn't have sun. But that's okay, we can let her do that. But I think our summer's gonna look so different this year. I mean, we have some great news to share about some of the opportunities that we're going to take on, so we make sure that our families, the community's families, have an opportunity to have a safe environment for their kids. And so before I really get into my whole thing, I'm just gonna go to Miss Sunshine over here and let her talk a little bit about the summer.
Well, I'm just representing all the families out there.
Okay.
We've been cooped up in the house.
Yes.
We're ready for some sunshine.
Teaching kids, I mean, you guys become teachers.
We've been teaching our kids. We're gonna continue to teach our kids, but you know, Mother's Day is coming up. I want a little present for myself. I want a little break. I want to sit by the pool with my shades on.
Okay.
Well, I'll really be working.
We'll be working.
I want to be able to send my kids somewhere fun. So we're really excited to be rolling out a Boys and Girls Club camp.
Yes.
That's fun and exciting for our kids, and for parents to be able to send their kids somewhere safe and enjoyable. And that's what we've been working on, and that's our big reveal today.
Yeah, so because your team has been working so hard on working out the details, I want you to go ahead and share what we have going on this summer.
So we're thrilled that on May 11th, which is a Monday, we are going to be rolling out what we're calling our Campathon. So that's going to be our first camp. We're starting at the Mid-Florida Event Center in Port St. Lucie. We're excited to be able to have about 250 club members.
Yes.
It is going to be on the event side of the Civic Center, so we're utilizing all of that beautiful facility. It's their Emerald Room, their Ruby Room, their outdoor space. So our kids will be in very safe groups of 10, and they'll be with our staff that they know and are used to from the past as well. And what we're gonna offer is physical fitness. We will be able to help them with academic success and academic support with our qualified teachers that are gonna be on staff. They'll have activities, arts and crafts, and some enrichment activities as well. So we'll even have some, we know we can't get on buses and go on field trips, so we're gonna bring some in-house or outside field trips into the Civic Center for them.
So I think we need to qualify this because, you know, you just said 250 kids, and so when you add staff into that mix, I want the listening or viewing audience to kind of understand from a CDC standpoint, how are we going to have 250 kids in a space? And you know, when you just hear 250, it's like, no, it's supposed to be no more than 10, but we want to make sure that the families that are going to be thinking about sending their kids, how safe we're going to be at the Mid-Florida Event Center.
Well, we've been really excited to partner with the City of Port St. Lucie on this and the event center itself to make sure we're following all the CDC guidelines.
Great.
So as I mentioned, our groups are going to be small. Each of our groups, which we have weekly themes, and the kids will be in themed groups as well, will be kept in separate spaces. There's lots of cleanliness involved. Our staff is going to be wearing masks. We're actually providing breakfast and lunch to all the kids as well. So even though we'll be able to serve a lot of kids throughout the community, we're still able to do that in a safe manner because we have such a large facility, and we're able to keep the kids in those individualized safe groups.
That's awesome. And I know one of the biggest concerns that we had, and I know across the state, at least with Boys and Girls Clubs, we're so concerned about the thousands of kids we serve every year. And how do you pick which kids are going to have an opportunity to go to a club, whether it's a Boys and Girls Clubs or some of the other after school or summer programs? How do you pick those kids and which ones you're going to bring and which ones you're not going to bring? I don't think you can. I think you have to figure out opportunities. So you and your team did a great job at figuring out an opportunity, and you're right, it's been a pleasure working with the city of Port St. Lucie to figure out how we're going to change an event center into a club for 13 weeks or more or less. I mean, but it's going to be a long time, and that the kids can have fun, and that when they go in these different spaces, they will have a big enough space that's following the CDC guidelines. Our staff will be with the right PPP on, so that, or PPE rather, to make sure that we're doing all the right things so that we can prevent the spread of the coronavirus.
Absolutely. And we talked about making this extra fun with themes, so our kids, you know, they've been in their houses, so they're going to come into an environment where people are wearing masks, so we're going to get them used to that. Our staff's going to still continue to build those relationships as they always have. And best of all, we are really trying to support our community and our parents right now with keeping this price point very affordable for them.
Yeah, we really, you and I and Suzanne, our CFO, we really took a hard look at what could we do based on what we received. And so, we did receive the PPP funding. And so because of that, we're able to give back to the parents, because it's really not about us, it's about being able to get parents to go to work. I mean, people have to work, and we love our essential workers, but we also have other essential people, like people that work at Walmart, people that work at gas stations, people that are doing things that just help the city get along and the county get along. So we've decided that we were going to charge parents $25 a week for the first 6 weeks of camp. So that $25 is going to include the enrollment fee, it's going to include the breakfast, the lunch, the certified teachers. It's going to include everything to include the kids having a really, really good time.
Absolutely.
So we are now in that planning stage. We have about 11 days. And so we talked about like some of the things that we're going to be doing. So we have some art going on. We're gonna figure out how the kids can play basketball, right?
There'll be sports, but it'll be in a safe manner. Even bringing some of our Boys and Girls Club games rooms into the Civic Center as well. So they'll have access to some of the same games they've always known and loved, such as ping pong and some other things.
That's great. And then the times of that's gonna be typical, like from 7:30 to 6. Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm looking forward to filling up. And so like Melanie said, 250 kids that will be able to be a part of Boys and Girls Clubs this summer. We're starting on the 11th. I want to switch gears and talk about just the amazing community that we have. We did mention, I believe on the last ClubCast, we talked about a $50,000 donation that we received from an anonymous donor in Fort Pierce. And I want to qualify this by talking about whatever we're going to do in Fort Pierce, we're going to do it parallel to Port St. Lucie. So we have donors that are doing the same exact thing in Port St. Lucie. But today was like a really interesting day. Like we got together with other after-school providers led by Children's Services Council and some other people, not just after-school folks, but just people around the county. And how could we best spend this $50,000 and some additional funding sources that we have out there? And so let's talk about, the Operation Dinner Table.
Operation Dinner Table.
That's your thing, and Mitch, and you guys come up with all the cool and fancy names. I kind of sit back and, just try to manage it from behind. You guys are like the really artsy kind of, like, teach me how to be a little bit more like that.
Everybody, the whole premise you always hear about these, you sit at the table, it's your dinner table with your family, that together time, building relationships there, but it's so much more, there's multiple layers to that. So as an organization, we really wanted to look at what it was going to take to feed our families. So whether that's prepared dinners that we're going to get to them, whether they pick them up or we're transporting it or getting it out through these other agencies, or an entire box of groceries that'll hold a whole family over for an entire week of all kinds of cool product, or different supplies and resources they may need to include their own mask.
Yeah, that's true. When you talk about, I just want to talk about food. I mean, when you look at some of the, I mean, you got to keep it local, right? Mm-hmm. So I know we've reached out to like Guy's Meats. They're going to give us, I mean, they're going to sell us 1,000 chickens. I mean, that's going to be pretty cool to do. We're going to be working with other agencies so that we can get pastas and pancake mix and things that we know families can survive on for an entire week. And I'm happy to say, I feel like the energy is there, that we're going to probably be able to do that a couple times. I'm just going to put it out there. The goal is to do this more than once. I mean, you do have other agencies doing a wonderful job. You have the Treasure Coast Food Bank. You have Sarah's Kitchen. You have the Fort Pierce Women's Clubs. You have Grace Ray Village, and a host of other organizations doing the same exact thing across the county. But that's not enough. I mean, we have in both cities, there's over 350,000 people. So when you have that many people, it's important that we know that in some of these areas that there's a food desert, and how do we fix that, or at least be a part of it. So we're just doing our small part, but there are so many wonderful organizations out there doing some really amazing things. But we're not only gonna utilize small businesses that can provide us bulk foods in that way so that we can feed a family for an entire week. We're also going to use some of the local businesses that provide not only good food to us, but they also support nonprofits throughout the year. And I think that's important in how we give back to them so that they can sustain their business. And so I don't know if we really talked about some of them.
Yeah, I mean, I know one week we're going to be focusing on maybe like pizza, Italian food. So we have Big Apple Pizza, we have Domino's. When we get into barbecue, we have Moonswiners, and then we have Mission Barbecue. We have our
Fats Chicken. We have Fats. We got Jam Bar. We got some pretty cool people out there that we're working
with. Good food.
Yeah, good food. I mean, I can't wait to kind of eat one or two of those wings, maybe 3 or 4 slices of pizza or something. But you know.
And then the cool part from what you were saying, you know, there are food deserts, and one of the part of Operation Dinner Table, we've brought the partners to the dinner table, and we've started with all of the agencies that help children in this community that Children's Services Council has connected us with.
That's right.
And so they're part of our dinner table. This is a collective impact, a group of people that all care, and they know where those families are, and they have the best way to get to them, and then also be able to see them and figure out other resources they may need at the same time. So that is what makes it even more exciting, that there's a whole group of us that are going to be out in force with our boots on the ground getting these kids.
Well, when you were saying that, today we had our first call with this group, and within 10 minutes the group already identified 1,000 people that needed food. And so imagine us being able to do this on a week-to-week basis. And some of these families have a job, but you know, people use terms like the working poor. You know, they go to work every day to do the best for their family, but it's just not enough money to qualify for anything. So this is going to be able to help those families as well. So I like that fact. But there's something else that we're going to do. In talking to some other agencies like Tyson Teens, you know, it's like, how can we keep the family together during this time? Because normally the kids are in school. Some of them go to after school programs. So you know the kids are going to be 8 to 12 hours outside of the home. And now they're all together all the time. And so how do we do things that are creative for the families that are now all together all day long?
Yeah, I think providing things like a game of Jenga where they can pick a piece and either use that as an educational piece or ask a question like, how is your day today? Get that conversation going, because even if they're in the same house, you don't know what the conversation looked like. So that dinner table is the opportunity. Maybe it's arts and crafts, music that they're participating in. So we have a lot of really good ideas that we're kicking around.
Well, I was talking to Cindy from Lindsay School of the Art just a couple minutes before we started this ClubCast, and she was saying there's an opportunity where you could actually roll out a piano and they can give us music sheets to add to that dinner pack so families can learn how to play the piano together. Nice. So I would have never thought about anything like that, but there's so many people with so many cool ideas that I think that is just going to be a benefit to the entire community. Melanie, I know you guys have been working, or your team has been working really hard on Zoom. I mean, not Zoom, but our virtual platform.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, thank you all who have done our club code. Like, that's been awesome. And I don't always know until the day of, but it's pretty cool to watch our community partners, our community leaders come together to do our club code, because our club code is really, should be an American club code of, you know, how we do business and how we are as people. So, but we've been working on, or your team has been working on a lot of content so they can keep parents and kids engaged with what we're doing in our community.
Yeah, we try to offer a mixture, whether it is arts, other enrichment, poetry, exercise, just different things that can keep them motivated, whatever time it is during the day that they decide to click on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page. So I know the kids appreciate it too, to have those guest readers to read a book. Just gives them a little downtime, but they feel a sense of importance when they see that a mayor took the time to read to them,
right,
or say the club code, or another figurehead from the community. That makes them feel like I'm really special. They took the time out to do that. So it's a pretty cool content that we have going.
That's awesome. Well, you know, Boys and Girls Clubs of America, along with our alliance, we want to work together in coordinating opportunities to be able to share some more virtual stuff where it's a little bit more on a consistent platform for a lot of kids to be able to see it. Now, it wouldn't take away from what we're doing, but it would also enhance what the communities are needing. And so, you know what I would like to see? I would like to see a couple of local organizations get together and do a collaborative Zoom or ClubCast on something where it's familiar people, familiar organizations, and everyone's working together on a specific project, because in the end, it really is all about the kids.
Yeah, and we were talking about what our virtual planning looks like for the week, but that doesn't include the times that our club directors are reaching out to our kids. They want to have that face-to-face time with them, and we're so fortunate to have these wonderful virtual avenues to do that. So each of our club directors, they have their own plan of how they're engaging their kids, whether it's a dance party, whether it's poetry, something that they know their group of kids at their club is enjoying, and they've been able to reach out to them several times a week and just engage them in what they want to do. And then the kids are able to see their friends, which
That's awesome.
A lot of them, it's been, you know, over a month now that since they've seen them. So it gives that opportunity as well.
That's awesome. So one of the things I was just thinking about, so for the last month, it's kind of been just 40-something of us just really hitting the pavement, because we had to furlough 90-something employees, and so they're getting ready to come back. So with that, I'm very excited that that they're coming back to work so they can work with the kids. And I like what you said about the kids being able to work with the staff, because it's really about relationship building. So I'm excited that that will happen over these next couple of weeks. So, and going into the summer, and then going into next year. And so we have a year planned. So that's the good news of, you know, whether if it's going to be virtual or whether it's going to be in a Mid-Florida Civic Center or it's going to be somewhere else. But I'm surprised you haven't talked about, you know, some of the other things that you're working on, meaning like going into a park.
Even further.
Like how, like, I think that's going to be the new norm anyway, and to some degree. But how does that look in your mind in terms of being able to take a vehicle into a neighborhood, set up a club, and still have them with social distancing, but have groups of kids in neighborhoods that can't necessarily get to our clubs during this time?
So we had this premise of a pop-up club, and this is something we've been dreaming about for a long time. And I think now we have the vehicles to do it. it's the right atmosphere. Literally, it's the right environment for it. We're gonna see kids that want to come into our actual centers, and then we're gonna see some kids that maybe that doesn't work for them, or maybe they don't have access in a certain way. So our goal is to pick locations where we know we have these pockets of kids. We're gonna pack our Boys and Girls Club vans full of really fun and engaging things. So we'll have tents for shade, we'll have food for them if they need that too, even technology, things that we can involve them in, have access to some Wi-Fi. And then basically we're gonna send out our staff into the community and serve these kids. We'll even have teachers on staff as well. So if they pop up at a park or a certain location, that we'll have listed so people know where we're at. And maybe somebody was working on something during school and they just need that one thing they need a little bit of extra help with. We have somebody on site that can help with that. We are gonna social distance them, so whether it's tables and chairs or we're standing and we're doing different activities, we have the space to be able to do that, especially in an atmosphere where it's a park. So we're really excited about that. That's gonna be able to reach so many children in this community that have not heard about a Boys and Girls Club, or maybe they have and they just aren't able to get to us at this time. So we're excited about it.
You know, what's cool about that is, you know, sometimes when you get too many intelligent people in the same room, you don't get anything done because everybody's trying to put a plan together, they're trying to get it figured out. They're just like, well, you know, if you do this, then you're gonna need these other 6 things. And it's not until you have like a hurricane or something that's devastating that people say, but we actually can do that because how many square foot do you need? Well, the park is like 50,000 square feet, so let's just do it, right? And so I think the one thing that you will recognize with your Boys and Girls Clubs is that we're gonna take some calculated risk and we're gonna take some chances, but the chances we're gonna take are only because we care about our kids. So every chance that you come up with, your team comes up with, and the concepts, it all revolves around kids who need us most, and just kids in general. Another layer of building relationships with healthy adults. So I'm excited to be able to take those new vehicles that the community helped us to buy, to be able to push them right back out to the community and serve hundreds of kids in their own neighborhoods, in their own parks, and still be able to serve them a breakfast and a lunch. And maybe we just could be the model across the country, meaning not just Boys and Girls Clubs, but our community being a model in, you know, that Port St. Lucie and Fort Pierce and the county are allowing us to kind of like all collectively put our heads together and come up with a different way, a new normal, different way of doing business. You know, I just think it's just cool. We only have a few more minutes, so I want to give you at least a minute and a half, and maybe I could take a minute and a half just to really thank and love on my board a little bit.
Okay, well, I just want to thank the community. As Will mentioned, we had our wonderful anonymous donor. We also had GL Homes that just came back to the table again and committed their second $25,000 towards our 25th anniversary, and a large portion of that donation is going to go to feed in Port St. Lucie. So we're super excited about that and their partnership.
That's awesome. I want to thank my board of directors under the leadership of Leslie Christoph, who is the president of Kaiser University campus in Port St. Lucie. Really appreciate the support that they are allowing us to just do our jobs. And we're in communications all the time, and that makes me happy that I could rely on 24 board members to pick up their phone and to do whatever it takes to build ... And so thank you to all those board members. I wish you safety, and I wish the community safety. And now it's time for Melanie and I to get back to work. Thank you.